Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Blue Thunder Pod AEW edition. I'm your host, Billy Sullivan. With me, as always, the lovely and talented Dave Olinovich. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Billy.
So today we're going to do a couple of things that I think we should probably talk about right off the top here. Because we were gone from our regular Blue Thunder Pod recordings for the last couple of weeks, we're going to, throughout the going over this AEW Dynamite episode, the one that just aired, we will be doing a little bit of like housekeeping, talking about the stuff that has occurred over the last 3 weeks, essentially just so it makes sense in context. But the other thing is we are, for the first time, splitting up our AEW and WWE content into two separate podcasts. They will both go up at the same time, but in more manageable chunks. And also for all you guys out there that are, a fan more of one than the other and, want to listen to one first. Hopefully you listen to both, but listen to one first. It'll be a little bit easier for you guys to grab that stuff right off the bat. So when this goes up, if you're looking for the WWE content, it will be up at the same time. So wherever you get your podcasts, it'll be there and labeled as WWE. So this week we're gonna talk about AEW Dynamite and a little bit prior as well. Dave, what did you think of this week's Dynamite?
It was fine. It was fine. Like it was. I don't want to. Okay, so I read some things prior to watching it because I didn't watch it when it was live. Because as you alluded to, we were out for a couple weeks. Within the past 48 hours, I was
Fucking
the most.
COVID.
Yeah, you had COVID.
Food poisoning.
I had food poisoning. Today's the first day I'm actually feeling like a human again, so I couldn't turn the television on. Let alone look
Dave
at
is
one if
shitting
I wanted
in a Home Depot bucket right now as we record.
So I read kind of like that the house didn't look so good, and.
They're fucking. I agree.
Yeah, that is
the house hurts the show. Yeah, and that's Tony Khan's fault 100% on this one.
No, but that's the sentiment I went in with it. I'm like, oh, is it going to be a shitty show or whatever? And then the show was a perfectly fine wrestling show. They had just been swinging pretty hard the past couple weeks.
I would say like this episode is and. Honestly, when the way that they have been building their pay-per-views now this year, basically, this is going to be the chunk of time where they do this kind of show. But going in, I figured, Dave probably is not going to like this episode as much as me because this was almost the trifecta of any wrestling show you want to hit. For me, is the in-ring is 1/3, the other the second third is angles, and the third is promos.
Right.
Well, when you're in like the middle of your build cycle, AEW is, there's always an episode, usually only one if they're doing it right. So I think it'll probably only be this week, maybe next week too, but that's the limits. Like just do two. In the middle of the cycle, that's just a very wrestling heavy show. It's just match. Which for freakazoid like me, I'm like wrestling matches, but I 100% absolutely understand. Why most people, even like AEW fans, I think you have to be kind of extra freaky about the match stuff to enjoy a show that they're generally not paced as well as when you really are hitting those thirds. Like honestly, the last 2 weeks, they crushed it with that stuff because the angles and there
was a lot of good
and
stuff.
The promos and stuff. This was just basically, and I very much enjoyed it.
Yeah,
but I understand why it's not for everybody. This was matches and they interspersed it with like good video packages. I'm glad they're doing that now.
Yes.
But like, I get it. It's not as easy or fun to watch when you don't have the other story elements being forwarded, especially when you've seen it for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. I didn't mind the wrestling at all. Like it just, what they did felt very just, okay.
Well, I think it all becomes kind of one note, regardless of how good the wrestling is.
Right.
If that's what the show is only. And it kind of was just only wrestling.
And like the wrestling was not like, it was good. Like here, all right, here, there's a couple things. they're putting on such consistently good wrestling that when they have a show by any other metric is a good wrestling show,
Absolutely.
it's just like, I think it's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like it just, by comparison, it just diluted a little bit,
Yeah.
which is what this felt like. And that was across the board. Like nobody like shined on this show.
Well, I thought the bookends, I was like the opener, I thought was great, but hurt by the fact that Tony Khan, for some reason, tried to book an 18,000 seat arena in a city that doesn't get Dynamite.
So
like they literally don't get Dynamite in Quebec City.
Yeah.
Why would you try to book that?
Yeah.
Book a smaller barn, 3,000, 4,000 seater. Because like 4,000 is not a bad house, but if you put 4,000 in an 18,000 seat arena,
Right.
it feels cavernous.
Yes.
So yeah, on TV it like translates terribly. They only really sounded hot for the last match, which that was I think pretty objectively a great match. But that was helped by the fact that the crowd had to overcome the fact that they were in this big giant cavernous building that they were never going to fill in Quebec.
Right.
Like it just wasn't going to happen.
Right.
But like the first match, like the opener, I loved, but it was a little bit more of a technical thing. It's a Shibata match. You either love them or you don't really. And I do, but like it really would have been helped by a more intimate crowd. Like
I don't think that's changing. And I've been trying to like make sense of why does he keep booking places like this? Because he's not stopping.
There
right?
there are like cities that you can book a little bit bigger. I don't think like it's an anomaly that the WWE is currently selling out 16, 17,000 seat arenas. Historically, that's just not something that any wrestling company can do for longer than like 6 months.
Well, they're not half filling. Like
forget
WWE. They're like they're their own.
But even if
beast
that's what
right
you're
now.
shooting for,
yeah. Well,
you're only going to be booking like at the top of your game. You should only be booking a couple of those big giant arenas
when it makes sense.
Yeah,
when your product
Chicago
is
and
hot
CM Punk
and your product
or
is
whatever.
the product is not hot in
No.
AEW right now. So, and that's not any slight of the workers because like they're. Like they just turn, like they're boiling water to make pasta, and like they turn the water on, and it's warm right now, and it's gonna be fucking.
It takes a long time,
Yeah,
and like there are signs that it's heating up with live attendance. At least the last 2 weeks were 6,000-7,000, which I think that's great. That's what they should probably be shooting for. And honestly, 4,000 is not a bad house for an AEW show. Just you can't put it in a giant arena like that. Feels way worse.
Right.
Like look at NXT back in the day. Those were little small places. It sounded awesome.
And they filled
half the people.
But they filled a stadium. Like they like for those takeovers. But that's apples to oranges because that's a different time, and that was when they raided the indies, and like AEW kind of did the same thing, but like WWE's marketing beast was behind it, right? And they're try as they might. Tony's just not getting that he's not having to be a marketing genius. But I think, and that's the conclusion I came to, I don't think he gives a shit about ratings. And I think in today's...
I think that's right to not give a shit about ratings.
Well, I think that's across the board. I think it's becoming less about ratings and becoming more about money. Like it's all about money at the end, right?
Yeah, there's like
so if you have a
he's not even
bottomless,
calling it a TV rights deal anymore. He's calling it a media rights deal, because that's what it is.
But
he needs to care about houses.
Well, hang on. So he's gonna be on TV regardless because he's a billionaire, right? So this is gonna be here regardless.
Yeah, it's his vanity project, which I thank God that was the wrestling nerds billionaire, whatever.
But he doesn't care about ratings. He doesn't care about how many people are there. He just doesn't. Like, there's no evidence to prove like that he's putting a ton of money into marketing and like you just mentioned,
ticket prices too. Like
there's evidence piece or exhibit 1 or exhibit A, and then like you just mentioned, they're in Quebec City, Canada. They don't even get AEW in their town. Why are you running here? Like I think this is just what it's going to be forever. So I think. And I just opened with being a victim of this, where I looked at what the crowd looked like, but again too. And I mentioned this a couple of times. If like this just makes me personally not want to go to an AEW show. Yeah. It's like, well,
it doesn't feel as fun when you're in a
like,
cavernous building with
but also too like, is this cool? Right? Like that's part of it. Yeah. Like going to a live event. It's like when you go to a baseball game and there's like 30 people in the crowd and it's a whole empty stadium. You're like, am I the dummy for being here? And like, yeah, that's a internal problem, but that's a very real thing across all live entertainment.
Sure. I'm a big snob and I never think that I'm the dummy. Like I always think, oh no, like, no, you're watching Raw. You're the dummy. But And I agree with you that like Tony Khan doesn't care about
And he's not going
TV
to.
ratings, but what he needs to care about, and like normally, you never hear me talking about this shit.
Yeah.
I don't care because I don't about the dollars. I don't care. I like Martin Scorsese more than I like Transformers 8, even though Transformers 8 is way, way more popular and a zillion more people like Transformers 8.
Does not conflate with
Don't give a shit one way or the other.
Yeah.
But what does affect the quality of the show, my enjoyment, is when you book a giant cavernous arena that you're not 4,000 people in a 5,000 seat stadium. Sounds fucking awesome.
And that's what Scorsese never had to contend with. Like it's live theater, which is wrestling, but like movies and art house productions of things can get away with that because they don't have to worry about like they're filming it. It lives in a vacuum, right? So like let's hope the audience responds to it. But imagine they did it in front of people. Oh, that'd be kind of funny. A live action replay of Goodfellas. That'd be dope. But like they have to put this performance on in front of people, which is a give and take. Like, dude, I'm a musician. Like, I don't want to play a fucking 100 people in a room.
But like,
I'd rather play for 10,000 people in a room.
4,000 people is not a bad house for a wrestling show. It can be an awesome house, but you got to book the right place.
Right.
Like, I always do all I care about is what I'm watching and my enjoyment level of the art that I'm watching. Right. But the crowd is a part of a wrestling show,
right? But
and he needs to recognize that,
and the enjoyment of the individual watching it is realizing sure, like he's always going to be on TV. The rights deals are going to be there. He has a bottomless pit of cash. His father has even more. But like, why are you purposely? It feels purposeful at this point. Like you're trying to get people to not come to your shows.
Yeah, it
you're
hurts
pricing them out,
and like you said, when you go there, if you go to an 18,000 seat arena. And there's 4,000 people. It doesn't feel like 4,000 people. It feels like 200 people.
It's not fun, dude. I went to. I mentioned this before. I went to an AEW show. I paid like luxury lad money to sit front row, and it was fucking awesome. It was packed.
Yeah.
And it was an awesome crowd. Like I don't want to go to an AEW show and when they tarp off half the arena.
I would have loved to go there the last couple of weeks where they, it was. Again, 6,000, 7,000. It wasn't a crazy house, but like they had it set up so the hard cam side was filled too. Like you just got to book the right places.
Put it in
because it hurts the viewing audience. For me, like I'm watching the opening match and I'm like, this is a great match. Why doesn't it feel like a great match? I know objectively what I'm watching is awesome. Two awesome competitors working a flawless match.
Right.
But I didn't feel it as much as I had the previous Ospreay matches because it sounded bad because 4,000 people in an 18,000 seat arena sounds like shit on TV.
Like if Tony's coming to Chicago, stop booking the United Center. I don't think he does universally, but like go to like the UIC Pavilion, go to like a college hockey room. Like
absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like like we're saying the same thing. It's just like I'm getting annoyed watching these shows that I want to
normally I don't like talking about even like ratings and I don't talk about ratings.
No,
but like this is it's the art. It is affecting what's on TV.
It's part of exactly. It's part of the presentation.
Yeah, 100%.
And like it's making me as a fan. This is not like watching a movie or like listening to a record that's not recorded that well because the equipment's not that good. Like it does
easy fix too. You're gonna get 3,000 people regardless.
And if
he's a billionaire who clearly doesn't care as much about making a ton of money. So just book the 5,000 seat place.
And
it's
then
gonna sound awesome.
If you want to charge what you're charging for tickets, you can justify it in a smaller room because it's
absolutely.
It's a supply and demand issue. It's just basic economics.
Well, my hope is because and I agree that he's glacial pace and moving, like make changes. They are making changes that are positive, like the pricing thing. I've said it in weeks prior. I'm very happy that they have changed that. That they now have a thing in place where it's like the week prior, they drop the prices to reasonable cost. Like ideally, they should. He's snoring.
Rocky's snoring. Sweet baby snoring.
Ideally, they should just sell the tickets for like reasonable cost, but from day one. Doesn't have to be.
That could be a day of decision. Like, hey, we're going to change all the ticket prices. Like,
now they're at this point.
It shouldn't be a conversation.
It's there. It's just that is what their model is. That they have a certain price point, and then week prior it drops to a different price point. I would do it earlier. I wouldn't even try charging what he's charging to start because it pushes people away.
I agree with everything you're saying. He's just
so my hope is that they'll make an alteration to where they're booking too because they didn't always do this.
He's just frustrating. That's all. Because I want to like this more than I do, and it's really hard.
I think it's frustrating me clearly too. So like, and I'm super mega fan.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch a big cavernous building.
I think we've made our point with this. We don't. Yeah, we're beating a dead horse here.
But anyway, like regardless of that, also with the rest the way that this specific show was like structured, especially with a crowd that's not as hot. It's I think that the pacing suffers. I think that it's a good idea to do these like mid build right now, because you can't really keep firing angles and storylines or even promos at the rate that they were the last couple of weeks for the entire duration of the build of a pay-per-view. You kind of have to do a thing where not a ton of story stuff develops, because you burn yourself out on, like, you end up with a goofy angles and shit if you over story it, if you oversalt the meat in the middle. So like, I'm happy to get a basically like a big giant house show, like a bunch of matches that
I mean, they progressed I don't think there was anything that didn't have a purpose. Like,
no, it wasn't like, if they're going good, which they still are, everything they're doing besides booking the wrong venues, I think they're doing very, very well, and everything fit into what they're doing. They always have, like, even 2021
I just don't think this was this wasn't like a flying, like the episode of Breaking Bad with the fly that gets stuck in.
It's not a bottle episode.
No.
They always do like an ebb and flow, though, where you're in this part of this was just pay-per-view cycle.
It progressed stuff. It was fine. I liked the promos. I liked the video packages. I didn't dislike the pacing of the show. It's just something felt like meh. And I
think that's why.
But I also think it's the crowd
pacing. 100%. But I mean, that's the crowd is what I felt the most as a person that like likes these match heavy shows. I was like, man, fucking get louder. But it's not really their fault, because it's just too big a building for, again, especially for a town that doesn't get the goddamn show that you're broadcasting. Like, what are you doing, man?
He doesn't get it. He's spending too much time on Twitter arguing with Eric Bischoff. Like, read
we
the goddamn
all know
room,
Eric
dude.
Bischoff's a douchbaag. You don't have to point it out at 4 o'clock in the morning, dude.
Like, he's another one. Like, and I know, like, we talk about Cornette a lot, and like we can't tell if it's like a work or whatever. Bischoff makes points sometimes.
He is all business focused. Which I don't give a shit about. I care about like the art of it or what the thing I'm watching. And all he cares about is that part. Every answer to everything is, well, you're going to get more through the turnstiles, or you're going to pop a bigger rating. And I'm like, yeah, but the thing you're suggesting will also make it a shittier show for me to watch. So like, I don't enjoy that.
And that's fine. But like, Tony's biting on it. And like,
that's what I'm saying.
He needs to shut the fuck up. Like, he needs to delete Twitter off of his phone.
Homie.
It's not cool.
Because then it brings in all these other parts of the community that then want to like shit on me for liking a thing that's not as popular. And I don't want to. I can't just be like, you're an idiot. Like, because I don't want to be that guy on the internet. But it's truth. Like, again, the Scorsese thing or whatever, any art form, any music. It'd be like, oh, you are a Guided by Voices fan? You're such a dumbass. You're not a Swiftie? Like, Taylor Swift sells out the Superdome. Guided by Voices can only fill a 3,000 seat. Like,
art is subjective. Like, that's like when someone tries to tell me a movie's bad. I'm like, that's not how art works, dude.
Exactly.
Like, there's no objective way to.
Which, as a wrestling fan, we get put. I feel like I'm in a constant watch cycle of, why am I arguing?
Don't engage. That's all. Simple.
I didn't for a long time, but now we have a goddamn podcast, so I feel like I have to be part of the discourse, and I end up very frustrated.
Whatever. It's just a shame for those people that they only have one wrestling podcast to listen to.
But I mean, that's why we try to do our best. And try not to be assholes either, because
the market
we know
is
that the market is it's so limited.
We have a monopoly.
But I'm with you that the booking it in this way is like, that's as bad a decision as making a bad story decision, because it hurts the product that I'm watching. And that's what I do care about.
Right.
The opener from this week's show was, and we should talk a little bit about it, because we haven't really talked too much. Well, Will Ospreay a little bit, but like the pay-per-view, we talked about the Fletcher match, but not the 2 promos he did the last 2 weeks, were to me just as impressive as the matches.
He needs to teach promo class at AEW.
Unbelievable.
He talks like it's so passionate, and like he gives promos like when you're just really angry, and like for some reason it's Shakespearean clarity that comes out. Like that's how his promo style is.
People used to shit on him for years. That this guy's never going to be able to cut a promo.
No.
And I didn't when I was watching him back in the day in like Rev Pro or whatever.
Yeah.
I wasn't watching his promos really because I'm watching single matches or clips or whatever. I'm not watching entire Rev Pro shows generally. Yeah. So I never saw it. I just assumed everybody's right about this, and I think they probably were back then. But it's astounding that this dude that we've seen this last couple of weeks cutting these promos, like you said, impassioned, like everything he says with the most earnest feeling, like true emotion behind it. And he also doesn't like trip over any words, like just the nuts and bolts part of it. He fucking crushes as well. But he's like, I think he's the best promo in the company maybe right now. I mean, Samoa, it depends on what you're looking for, but like Samoa Joe is like, just technically he's the best promo maybe I've ever seen, but like for feeling something, Will Ospreay comes through that curtain or through the tunnel, and I'm like, I'm fired up for this the whole way. The walk down when he's talking, it sounds like he also in his in rings with like Shivani, it feels like he's talking to Tony Schiavone as a human being too. Like
poor Shivani always gets like he's always like he's like who is the football announcers who was it Jimmy the Greek? Where he
look at that little monkey go,
and then like the other guys start like
like,
off camera. Shivani also like he migrates off camera.
Ospreay's always putting his arm around him and shit.
So I have the Ospreay. So coming up at Wrestle Dream, it's Bryan Danielson against
Dynasty, my friend. Dynasty.
What did I say?
Wrestle Dream.
I don't. Who gives a shit?
They're both kind of bad.
They all sound like '80s like soap operas.
Yeah,
we're coming up on Wrestle Dream.
Literally.
So last week, Ospreay comes into the ring. The Ospreay chant is over like Rover. They do a Bruv chant. Crowd's lava hot for him because it's a full goddamn like supportive room, right?
I realized this week that because I take in some British wrestling content. British people get annoyed by the bruv thing the way that you get annoyed by Eddie Kingston dog.
Oh,
like it's the same. Because at first I was like, why do British people like kind of not love Ospreay's promo style?
Yeah.
And then I realized it's like because he makes us sound like idiots. Because it's like Eddie Kingston saying dog.
Sure.
Sorry, continue.
The dog thing is more. It's just fun to do. I'm not even mocking him, but it's dog.
Same way.
Oh, it's just.
But like I could see where
it's just a fun.
We have
that
friends that would say that he sounds like a perhaps Palooka.
Stout out just.
For that reason. But Ospreay's similar.
So the entire program between Ospreay and Danielson at Wrestle Dynasty is I'll get it by the end of the show. Is they're trying to determine who the best wrestler in the world is. So Ospreay is saying he looked up to Danielson his entire career. The only move he wrestled Kenny Omega not too long ago, and the only move anybody talked about with Omega was the Tiger Driver 91, where he dropped
renamed, by the way.
Which is what?
He renamed it this week. Did you notice?
To what?
It is the Storm Driver.
I'm good with that.
I like it better too because it sounds less nerdy than. I'm just pushing up my glasses. It's the Tiger Driver 91.
Tiger Driver
Thank
91.
you very much. I've never had sex in my life.
It was the Tiger Driver 93, slightly less rotation, and drops it back on. So Tiger Driver 91 will drop right on top of his head.
The T6, T7 vertebrae are actually protected. I prefer Storm Driver. Like, good call, Will.
I like that in your body that there's 67 thoracic vertebrae.
No, I said T6 and T7.
Oh, I thought you said T67. I'm sorry. That's way funnier. That's a giant human. But he said...
Will Ospreay probably has 67 vertebrae.
He's going to need them to have a whole career. But after that, he said, that was the only move anybody was talking about after his match with Omega. Ospreay says that the most violent man in wrestling, referencing Danielson, said, was it worth it? Right? So he's like... there's a phrase in AEW everyone knows, restore the feeling, and he's like, bruv, I am the feeling. By the way, after everything, everything he says is like he's like giving a political speech. Like after every sentence, the crowd's fucking losing their mind. So basically, he's saying that Danielson is saying, I'm the most violent guy in wrestling. But was that violent move worth it? Like, kind of walking back his violence.
Was it worth it, bruv?
Yeah. I'm just going to concede all Ospreay impressions to you. I don't think I'm going to get a pushback.
I can only do chunks if I don't want to get laryngitis.
We just got done being sick. Let's not open that door.
I do have one I'm going to have to do because I love it.
You just raise your hand when you're ready. Ospreay goes on to say, this match is about reminding people what AEW is. You put the best wrestler in the world against the best wrestler of the 21st century, and only one man walks out a winner. I like that.
Yeah.
He says, he said, I'm sorry. The one thing I learned from Bryan Danielson is that you can have respect for the man that stands opposite me, but the moment I walk in the ring, it's your life or mine, and I don't plan on dying, bruv. Match on April 21st is about finding out who the best wrestler in the world is. And I'm just kind of paraphrasing. I took a couple quotes.
Yeah.
But the way he delivered this fucking promo, he could run for office.
100%.
So, not only is he just killing it in the ring, the dude's the total goddamn package.
Yeah.
And he has good merch.
It's all great.
Yeah, it's all very good stuff.
He understands everything about, and you still see people that are even fans of his that I don't know if they think about him in the context of the past or whatever, but they're like, well, he's not the smartest guy in the world, but he's really hold on, there's different kinds of intelligence. I know he doesn't talk like a poet laureate, but
yeah, but who cares?
This dude has developed and learned and grown more than anybody I've ever seen in wrestling in the last 10 years.
People are upset that a wrestler is not intelligent?
Yeah,
what?
It's bad faith, people. It's the whatever.
That's reaching.
People that are looking for shit.
That's reaching.
But but they're wrong about that as well. Just because the guy happens to talk like a blue collar guy, everything about him tells me that he's super specific about everything he does. He pays very much attention and remembers everything.
Yeah.
And then is able to recreate it, which tells me the guy's closer to a genius than unintelligent.
The most interesting thing about his match with Jericho at Wembley Stadium was the promo on the Dynamite before it.
Yeah.
They didn't have to have a match after that. I don't remember the match. I just remember I'm like, God damn it, this guy is selling this pay-per-view on his back.
Absolutely.
And then he gets in the ring with Shibata.
I don't plan on dying, bro.
There it is. You didn't raise your hand. His match
the second promo is the one that I have the little snippet that I really want to.
But he gets in the ring with Shibata, has a starkly different match than he's had in the first two official signed matches, which is why initially I'm like, oh, this is kind of a bummer, but I'm like, wait a minute, homeboy just under the radar did all his shit.
Absolutely.
Wasn't flashy and could show he could do it with the most wrestlery wrestler.
I mean, the guy's nickname is The Wrestler.
Yeah.
Also, fucking scariest, most brutal looking head strikes to a guy who Dave Meltzer thought brain was taken out of his body at one point.
It's still cool to see him every
almost
time
died. Yeah. And doing that shit safely he's a genius. He's just a genius.
Yeah.
It's but that's why I got pissed off this week, because they're working that match, paying attention to all these little tiny details, the shit that I love. But it just doesn't sound as good as it should because they're in a giant bubble.
Yeah. But thought the match was dope. I love how fast Will Ospreay is. There was a point where Shibata went for a soccer kick or a penalty kick, and Ospreay
the thing he finished. Did you? How about the flashback to fucking dorky, skinny ass Will Ospreay?
It was cute.
It was how is
nice.
that the same guy?
Yeah, that was nice. Oh, later when they're doing the video packages and shit.
Gawky, pasty Rev Pro nerd, and then they cut back to modern day, and I'm like, oh well, now he's the coolest person I've ever seen in my life.
he leveled up a little. He hit Shibata with a hidden blade while he was standing. Apparently, they don't work when you're standing. But the finish was he hit it while Shibata was on his knees. And so they're doing two things with Ospreay right now that I really like. Oh, by the way, hidden blade to the face. Shibata was seated and aware of it, and then he got the pin.
Yeah.
They're letting...
He got the Tiger Driver. The what did I just call it? The
Storm Driver.
Storm Driver. First,
in fact, the Tiger Driver 86, which involves underhooking just the left arm, not the right.
For me,
causing extra rotation and torque.
The underlying story going into this match was, you just told me you're going to be more violent in your match with this guy who has had terrible brain injuries than Danielson was, and you also just talked about multiple times this super dangerous, believed to be super dangerous move.
Yeah.
It's
pretty dangerous.
Oh my God.
It's pretty dangerous.
Well, the one and this is another genius thing that Will Ospreay does. You do it in a dangerous way one time, which he did in the Kenny Omega match. Every time he's done it since then, it's been worked he does it in a much safer way.
That's a good.
It helped. And Takeshita is a genius too, and he was able to make it look like it was going to be a spinal as well.
Yeah.
But he's not doing it the same way. But you still have that feeling because you've seen him do it the way that he did with Kenny Omega, the guy who's the most willing to drop me on my head. I'm fine. do whatever, that can make anything, look more dangerous than it is. But like it was more dangerous there. In subsequent times, not as much, but you still feel like, oh shit, I saw him do this thing.
Been set.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then in a smaller way, like confined even to this match, Ospreay does the same thing.
Yeah.
Through the course of the match, like some of the strikes, some of the forearm strikes he's throwing feel like they're super impactful. If you watch real close, they're not as impactful as in other matches. Right. But he sets the precedent by hitting one of those and then does a few that are not as impactful, but also peppers in then a few of those not as impactful shots, and then has Shibata hit him with something that sounds like, a frying pan being slapped against the side of beef.
Well, so
it makes the whole thing feel like it's been more violent than it actually has.
It also makes him more of a face in peril.
Yes,
absolutely. If you're not laying your stuff in as thick and you let the other guy lay, like by comparison, like it's a relativity thing. So like Shibata looks stronger by comparison. Completely. So he's a smart worker.
The way that shit is laid out that's what makes that work.
He's just a very intelligent, like forward-thinking worker.
Yeah.
Except when he does the hidden blade. He should never do it when someone's standing because it never works. He hit him in the face with the hidden blade, and
it still looks awesome.
That
one he hit
the
last the finish. Yeah. Again, there's not really finishers in AEW, but the last one he did looked like I disagree.
I'm gonna bitch about that in a couple of matches from now.
I really hope they don't ever start doing the like finishers. I just personally prefer you don't know when this match is gonna end.
Right.
But that fucking hidden blade he did at the end, the post Storm Driver Shibata setting up, I know it's over, just fucking take me out. I don't know. I watched it multiple times. I don't know how that wasn't just as hard of an elbow to the head as you can throw.
Right.
I know it wasn't because they wouldn't do that in a Shibata match, and Ospreay's too good for that. But he's so good that even like slowing down frame by frame footage, I'm like, I don't know. It looked like he just brained him. That's all. Yeah. Like it was one of the most brutal elbows I've ever seen.
So that's part of one of the things I like that they're doing is Fletcher did it and Shibata did it. They're just eating the loss. Like they're conceding that they're going to lose. And they're just like, what is it, Harry Carey, where you just fall on your sword?
Harikari. Yeah, Harry Carey.
And I like that they're doing that. Secondly, they're doing this kind of subtly, which AEW fucked up at the end of this episode, but like I'm going to pretend I didn't see it and I'm going to ignore it because it's on a secondary show, but they're doing Bret Hart, Steve Austin when Bret Hart was coming back, where in 90 at Survivor Series 96 when Bret Hart came back, Stone Cold went on TV every week and he was cutting promos against Austin.
Against Bret?
I'm sorry, against Bret. Let me say that again. Stone Cold was going on TV every week cutting promos against Bret, trying to coax him back to WWE.
Yeah.
And Danielson's only been on TV once. They could have done without that. But Ospreay is single-handedly, verbally carrying this feud. And I'm like, I don't remember that being done since that. And that's fucking cool.
The Danielson, they did the little video package. I did like that.
Well, that's coming up next, yeah. But those are two things that they're doing.
I'm sorry. What pissed you off then?
About what?
You said trying to do the Austin, but I'm just trying to.
Danielson's fighting on Collision this week. Who gives a shit?
He's
6-man. No.
That shit.
But I don't care what he loves anymore. We've already covered this. I love what I love. I don't give a fuck what Daniel Bryan loves. Like I want some majesty in my wrestling. I've been watching it for decades. I know what I like.
That's valid too. Like I get it.
So like I'm. But he also says it's his last year in that promo.
He's been saying it. He said it. I remember when he cut the promo, and then And that's why I also give him more latitude with he just wants to wrestle every week because he said it like a year ago.
Right.
He didn't say it's my last year. He said like vaguely. Like I talked to my daughter. She asked me to quit wrestling. I told her I want to wrestle one more year-ish, but I want to in that year I want to put on just every match you can possibly think of with all the people that I've dreamed of wrestling, my whole life. I want to pack it all in. And if this does end up being my last year, it's going to be the most packed full of incredible fucking wrestling you've ever seen year of your life. So that's what he's been doing. This is why he's on every week wrestling people, because it's everybody he wants to wrestle. The way that he phrased it and they cut it in this video package, it sounded more definitive than it actually was in the promo.
Yeah.
And the promo was more
That's
like,
why I was very like, what?
be around a year and then I'm going to scale back.
Okay.
So like, even if he does quit, he's not going to quit. He's going to like scale back to a few matches a year, which probably you're going to enjoy that more.
I want him to be special.
Yeah.
Keep his ass special.
Don't
put him on a 6-man on Collision with who. It's not even like the Bullet. What are they called? The Combat Club, the Blackpool. It's like him, Claudio.
By the way, I think Moxley's actually on his vacation.
Good.
He's talking about it.
Good.
Finally, Moxley's been off TV for 3 weeks.
Good.
I'm like, it's wonderful.
Let him take a break. It's a shame they don't let Renee off at the same time. They can go on vacation.
Well, Moxley's in Mexico because he is performing there for the CMLL thing.
Yeah.
He's just not off AEW TV.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Why Danielson's doing the shit he does.
That's
hopefully we'll get because I like it if they're gonna make him a main event, like a title contender main event guy, which I do want to see before he quits. Then I do think you need to book him more in that manner, where
right.
you don't put him on every week and like just
let him.
Especially it's all about just him getting his wrestling rocks off. It's on Collision because he wants to wrestle everyone, and everybody is not Dynamite level. So Danielson wants to wrestle everybody on the goddamn roster.
You see how this sucks.
But like,
I don't care what he wants. I want what I want.
I also very much enjoy watching him wrestle anyone because I'm a little freakazoid. But the film fan in me, or the fan of drama and story arc, agrees with you 100%.
And that's what
it makes it less dramatic.
That's what wrestling needs. You can't make good programs without good stories. And if Ospreay is coming on TV every week talking shit about Danielson, but he's fucking off to Collision and he's doing meaningless 6-man, you know what I mean? Like, feed the biggest fish in your goddamn pond right now. Don't go off and.
But that is Will Ospreay now.
It's Will Ospreay. It's 100% Will Ospreay. So it just really annoyed me. I'm gonna say it forever. I want Danielson to be special, and he refuses to be for some reason.
I think you'll get it after
flustered.
He gets his like gap year of wrestle everybody
after he wrestles everybody from AEW.
Yeah,
which is a local Chicago promotion.
Well, he wants to wrestle everybody in Japan too,
of course,
which Ospreay referenced in that second promo.
Yeah.
So I just want, we don't have to go through point for point on the second promo because it was similar stuff, just escalated. But my favorite line from either promo came out of this one. When Ospreay comes out again, full of energy, all fired up, and is talking about how how much he respects Bryan Danielson and what he's accomplished. But he does say that with Danielson, the one thing that you always say you wanted to do, but you didn't, did you? Is go become a big star where it's the hardest to in Japan. Like, well, here's what I did in Japan.
Yeah.
And he just lists off fucking everything you can accomplish.
Yeah.
Essentially, like what Kenny Omega did in Japan, plus extra.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely amazing. So, like, as a story beat, that's great. But the line that I loved was, you said you respect me, but also you said I can't walk in your shoes. Well, bruv. And then he rattles off all the New Japan stuff that he accomplishes. He's like, and then I was like, Tony, look there's Bryan Danielson's shoes, bruv. Look, and I tried to get in them, but I couldn't, bruv. You know why? Because they was too small for me. Which popped Tony Schiavone. Yeah, he started laughing too. And then finished this one off with his first reference to his nickname, my favorite nickname in wrestling, the Billy Goat. I'm going to show you what the Billy Goat is all about. And that popped me as well. But
I love how excited you get for Will
Ospreay. He's so full of like electricity.
Yeah,
he's like the human embodiment of The Rock's entrance video. He just is that. He's crackling like.
He's very good. I'm
just like
he's a shining beacon of the future of that company.
That's like, even if you're not great at stuff, I don't. It's fine. You don't. Everybody doesn't have to be Will Ospreay, but I wish everybody would bring that much enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Like, no, obviously everybody's not going to be Will Ospreay, but the enthusiasm is the reason I get so fired up.
You don't have to be technically, in the ring Will Ospreay, but you can speak with conviction
Yeah,
about
like,
your own character.
And again, if your nuts and bolts promo is not as good as his, because like I said, he never even stumbles on his words. He's got like a pretty fun way with words too. The shoes thing, like that kind of stuff. But if you just bring that passion to TV, people feel it, and that's why I get.
Well, if you bring passion, you don't stumble. Like, and also practice in your mirror. You're on TV every week. I don't know what to tell you. There's there's dozens of people waiting for the game to start. We mentioned the Danielson video package. This was fun. I like that they mentioned Shawn Michaels by name. They're just basically showing a career retrospective of Danielson starting.
It was funny. Like there were some bad faith people that were like, "Where was WrestleMania?" They're like, they're not going to fucking give him.
He got old real fast. It was like the Bible. It's like, how did he turn 33 all of a sudden?
And the voiceover too was like, and then he had to retire for 3 years. Like from what?
From what? From where? Where was he?
But I mean, they did as best they could without having that footage, I think. But it was cool hearing the Shawn Michaels reference.
That's nice.
Everybody immediately on Twitter was HBK to AEW confirmed.
Fuck out of here.
Relax,
he's
relax, everybody.
Quietly rebuilding NXT. Leave him the fuck alone.
Incredible year as a booker last year.
Next was a backstage segment with Renee and the Young Bucks, and the Young Bucks did one thing I've been waiting for them to do since they became heels, and I don't think
wear the awesomest yellow suit and hat I've ever seen in my life. Like,
you like the gaudiness.
I want that yellow suit.
They look like Lloyd
Nicholas
Christmas and the Dumb and Dumber guys.
That was the greatest color suit I've ever seen in my life.
They said they came back to AEW with a few objectives. One, they wanted to retire Sting's old ass, and we did just that.
Love it.
They wanted to restructure the Elite, which
it's a great word for douchebag CEO to use when you're talking about firing your friend.
And they wanted to get their AEW tag titles back. They said losing to Private Party. By the way, in the inaugural tag team title tournament, they being the Young Bucks lost to Private Party in the first round.
Awesome match.
Yeah, it was great.
They should have capitalized on with Private Party after that.
Why wouldn't they? But they say that losing to Private Party the first time around ruined, I think this was Matthew talking, his life for over a year.
Yeah. Well, first Renee, because part of the by the way, they're I don't know if they're getting rid of the Young Bucks name altogether, which I kind of think they should. But their graphic now just says Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, like even when they're coming out for matches. But Renee started with, because they're about to wrestle Private Party, who they famously lost to. So Renee's like, last time you faced these guys, you didn't come out on top. She said it in as diplomatic a way as possible. But because Nicholas plays sociopath of the two, he's like, show some respect. You jumped down her throat immediately, which is great.
Yeah.
And then Matthew came in to do his.
And then they said we want Alex Marvez instead. It's like he's prettier than you or something.
Yeah. He's better looking than you.
Yeah, that was it. They say losing to Private Party the first time around ruined the year of their life. They right the wrong tonight by beating them tonight. And then Private Party's not going to win because lightning never strikes twice. And then they gave actual heat to Renee. Yeah, great. Telling her to smile more.
Yeah, hey, we're going to have a wonderful night. You're killing it, Renee. This is Matthew, obviously. Just one small note. You can try smiling a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I think the classic.
I think I figured out right there what has been annoying me about this heel version, this iteration of the Young Bucks. They don't have we're in charge of shit energy. They have I manage 3 people in a pod energy, right? They don't they have a manager who has a manager who has a manager, right?
They are middle managers.
No,
though.
but right. So they have we have our first taste of power.
Yeah.
And we're being smarmy they don't have CEO or any type of tangible power.
They can't fire and hire.
Right.
Kind of stuff.
Right. And now that I get what they're doing, I know that I've met people like this.
Yeah,
when
I've had bosses like
when
this.
I was in corporate America, I was visualizing people. So I get that because then you're doing smarmy little shit telling a girl to smile more, which is universally going to be hated.
Yeah, that's the worst thing you could say.
They do not like that. So this is actual heat, and if
you exist for me, you only are here to make me
smile
feel better.
Shut up. But if they keep doing little things that are mildly antagonistic, that it's too big for your britches kind of stuff. That's the heat. Like, I like that character.
Yeah, that's why they dress like assholes, because the CEO doesn't dress like an asshole.
Right.
The middle manager who thinks they're a bigger deal than they actually are.
But it took me
like
it took me months to fucking get it, right? And like, no, you can't roll your eyes because they should tell the story a little bit better.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm not that. I'm saying, this is what I've been saying, Dave. This is what I've been saying the whole time.
It's like I've been looking
I'm
for
not
it.
defending that
I've been looking
necessarily.
for it and looking for it and looking for it, and like months later, I finally figured out what they're doing.
Our last podcast, I tried to. I probably didn't put it as well as I could have, but the point I was trying to make when we were talking and we had argued about them a little bit was
we
like,
never argue.
You're
It's all love.
like positive argument, not like an actual. What's a fucking wrestling argument? Is that I knew you were looking for them to do a thing,
Yeah.
but I also knew that that's not what they were going for. The character they were going for was a different character,
Right.
and they were doing that, I thought, very effectively. But from your perspective, you were like, no, but they're the authority. They need to be that. But they're doing a new character that I've never seen before in wrestling, the douchebag middle manager. I should have. That probably would have been the best way to say that.
But they
it just
also,
didn't occur to
in
me.
the way, like me, and I have to assume a lot of other people watching, like we, like outside of what's on television, we know what they were able to pull off. They were able to exile their biggest star to a different show, so they didn't have to be. So like they have like swingable power in the company.
Jack Perry.
Oh, did you see that he doesn't even care if he comes back anymore? Like he's actively trying to get out of his contract.
That's all of the workiest work it's ever worked. Like
I don't know.
Come on,
I don't know,
dude.
He's doing okay over there.
Yeah, he's doing fantastic over there.
Yeah,
which is why he's doing what he's doing. That's a work. That is the workiest thing.
I don't know,
dude.
I don't know. I don't know.
Our wrestling fan, come on.
I don't know.
You can't come out and do I'm tearing up he tore up an AEW contract on air his first time on TV, and then started his gimmick is the scapegoat.
Yeah.
He's being loaned out to
Matt Hardy did
NJPW.
similar shit when he got fired with the Edge leadership.
Not while he was being loaned out and under the employ of the company. This is all. It's a character.
I stand by
it. It wouldn't make any sense for that to be a shoot. He's working. He's absolutely working. He's doing the best work of his life.
I'm standing by it.
That's good. I mean, being worked is a good thing.
I'm not
it
being
makes
worked.
wrestling.
I'm not being
makes
worked.
wrestling more fun.
I'm right. But yeah, so that was the backstage segment. They have and right away they had the tag team quarterfinal match with Young Bucks versus Private Party. My only note with the match, because it was like just a very good match.
It's very good. Different style than like classic Young Bucks, but still more high spots than what they had been working in. The most recent previous weeks. Yeah, just different high spots.
Yeah. I just said that the Bucks were dressed like infant twins with pink and blue.
Absolutely. The only wardrobe note I've had in this entire Young Bucks run came from this match, though. Yeah. They wore boots, which they haven't done in 5 years or something.
Yeah.
And then Nicholas slipped.
Yeah.
When he went to throw the EVP trigger, which is like the first time I've ever seen either of those guys slip.
Yeah.
But they're wearing footwear that's different than what. Just go back to the sneakers.
Yeah.
Douchebag middle managers wear sneakers all the time.
Yeah.
And they had been doing that. But I could tell that they were not quite as comfortable in wrestling boots because, like, they hit their stride once they changed their footwear to the thing that they were more comfortable in.
Right.
Just keep that. It's not
put the J's back on.
Yeah, exactly.
Back those sweet, sweet baby J's.
They did. There was a spot that I do want to mention, just because I don't think they've had it in their arsenal, at least in AEW years. It was like a double team move, almost like a Doomsday Device, but like a backwards blockbuster instead.
Oh,
he
yeah,
had the dude
yeah.
up on his shoulders, and he did like a blockbuster with Quinn facing the other direction.
Yeah,
and it was great. And I'm like, oh,
it was
shit,
like
that's very cool.
Sliced bread.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I don't think they've done that before.
I've never seen that before.
They probably. I mean, sure, in their PWG days when they were doing 200 moves per match or whatever, they've done everything. But like, I don't think on TV I've seen that, and that's more of a Healy double team move than like most of the shit that they do.
Do you think they have like a giant just like binder with like all the sheets, all the plastic sheets of every move they have? and they just get like a Sharpie and they just like blindly like dab 3 parts of the sheet and like, okay,
I think-
tonight we're doing Doomsday sliced bread.
I think there was definitely a part of their career when they did that shit.
Like, there's not a lot of rhyme or reason, like because they do different shit in every match, and which is fine. That's their style. But yeah, they do some. They're good. They're very good at what they do. And you're gonna hear me speak more positively now that I understand what the fuck their characters are. Yeah, but the end, like you had alluded to, is they do the EVP trigger. Nicholas slips, but he still like does it.
Yeah.
And then there's some commentaries trying to save it.
Yeah, it's the didn't get all of it.
Yeah.
Like,
they try their best. They do not, but they still won.
They right prior to that, they did they're the best ball kickers I've ever seen in my life. And this week it was Matthew. Usually it's Nicholas doing it, and they kicked Marquand in the nuts, which didn't lead directly to the finish, but it started the ball rolling on the finishing sequence.
Right.
Every time they hit it, it's Will Ospreay doing it, that hook kick.
Yeah.
It's like impactful as hell.
They got those little legs.
Lifts them up off.
They don't have to go that far.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, being smaller, it's easier to be just a good wrestler.
Yeah.
Most stuff, it's the bigger you get, it's harder to be graceful.
Right.
And everything they do is generally
unless you
graceful.
are the Giant Gonzalez,
Yes.
who is the greatest. I'm not finishing that
El
sentence.
Gigante.
I'm not finishing that sentence. So next, they're pitching action figures. They have the announce. So there's a couple funny things here. So they I didn't write down the company that they're doing it with, but they set up some action figures on the table, and as they're panning over to the action figures, there's a couple cans of Woo Energy drink. Zero mention of the Woo Energy drink. Like it's strictly
Maybe it went back up to $29.99 six pack.
If he ever takes it off sale, that's like, what are you doing? Like,
Yeah.
Are you?
I mean, it's your own website. It's not like you.
Yeah.
like,
Who is paying full retail price for this?
we know who.
Yeah, we do. We certainly do know who. Who's buying Woo? Second video package of the night. First one was Danielson. Was Takeshita. And they're pretty much promoting the number 1 contenders match with Swerve tonight.
Yeah.
They each got one. Swerve's comes later. Good job, AEW.
I thought these video packages were like great.
They
for the
really
show today or this week.
Put some gravitas in the main event.
I think I would. I may have mentioned this in our text thread, but Takeshita is so great. I kind of want him to do like a flash title victory. Maybe like, I think Swerve should win at Dynasty, and that's great. And he's super over babyface. But generally my belief on the always have a heel champ kind of thing.
Yeah,
I think I would. I don't generally like the flash victory for like a world title, but I think with Takeshita, he's so goddamn good. They could do exactly what New Japan did with Okada 10 years ago, which was basically take a guy that they knew was going to be awesome, but nobody knew about really yet, to the point like the hardcores knew about him, but he wasn't like Okada yet. Yeah. And they just had him win the title. Like when nobody expected it. It went over like Tanahashi, I think, when it basically would have been like, I don't know if if they
let Jericho's title win stand
or
against
like
Triple H.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's probably, I was going to say Gunther, but everybody knows he's like a future world champ too. But if you had him win on Raw, the like world title or whatever, that's kind of what they did with Okada, and I kind of want them to do that with Takeshita too.
I tell you what, I wanted him to win tonight.
I also didn't know who was. I went in thinking I knew for sure who was going to win, but those two are so fucking great.
Yeah.
That the last 5 minutes I was like, I don't know which way this is going to go.
Yeah.
But I saw a comment that was made on the match that was my favorite that I saw was Swerve came out ahead in the battle of the 2 coolest guys on the AEW roster, but somehow Takeshita still is cooler than he was going in. So
I'll give you my feelings on that when it gets there, but I got some thoughts. But yeah, they're promoting the match pretty damn effectively for tonight. Next, before they go to commercial, Mercedes Moné gets out of a Jeep. I thought that was fun wordplay. And she's going to be coming to the ring next.
I hate what they're doing with her. I don't understand it at all.
She's not special.
She is when she's wrestling.
She's not presented as special.
They're trying to present her as special, but they are doing it in a sports entertainment way.
The way you make,
which is not what they do.
The way you make somebody special.
Put her The way you make Mercedes Moné special is like you did with Will Ospreay. Put her in the goddamn ring
with a top person.
Yeah, right away.
So like,
put her in the ring, wrestle.
I get that they're.
She's always been kind of a shit promo. Why are they only doing that?
So dude, her debut promo, like, she typed it up, studied it all night, and like it sucked.
Because it was typed and studied instead of just talking.
You know what else?
But that's what you always see is. I don't have a picture of Sasha Banks fucking talking into a microphone.
No.
I have her standing in the middle of the ring with Bayley because that was an awesome goddamn match.
Yeah.
That's what she does. She is a wrestler.
Right.
That's the reason why it made sense for AEW to hire.
Right.
Did you see, by the way, she got the same offer from both companies, dollar-wise?
No,
yeah, it's $10 million plus or something over multi-years. But she went to AEW. And again, I agree because it's the wrestling company. It's the wrestlers, wrestling company. Have her wrestle. If she's hurt or still or whatever,
she's not.
They shouldn't have had her on TV yet.
Because she's working. Like,
she needs
doing
to,
shit
like,
in the ring.
The reason she has that presence is, she's one of those people like Jeff Hardy or RVD where she's got a ton of charisma, even though she can't really talk very well.
Nope.
But she does have the charisma. So like the entrance is great, but then you got to put her in the ring and let her do that because her thing is physical. She's shouldn't be coming out trying to cut like CM Punk
or
promos.
go on commentary.
Exactly. You got to do the Ospreay direction, even though Ospreay may be a bad example because he's obviously great promo as we've been talking about, but still that's the direction they should be doing with her. Get her out there performing the thing that she performs well.
Isn't it funny?
Not like dicking around on commentary.
If you want to keep someone special, you just keep them special. It's weird how this company has a hard time doing that.
Technically, I am saying keep her special by having her wrestle way more.
Yeah,
but I also
she's got to wrestle once to like wrestle sparingly.
Yeah, like I feel like they were probably holding her off for the pay per view. But now I don't even is she going to be on that because they've announced one woman's match.
Yeah. To be fair, they've only announced announced 2 total matches for the show. So 3. I'm sorry, but they needed to put her right into something with a top person.
Big Business should have been like her in the ring with like a returning Britt Baker or like Tony Storm, or even if you want to do like a younger person who's like killing it right now, it wouldn't be my top choice, but if you wanted to put her out there with Sky Blue, they'd put on a banger. Like Willow Nightingale, the most over woman probably in the whole company, who's incredible between the ropes. Put her in there with her.
Right.
Any of these people would have been better than a dance and then like a kind of a boring promo that I wanted to, get to the action. Yeah. So fast forward through.
Yeah, she's just not.
I do like her song though. It's an earworm.
Oh, I hate her song.
I don't like that they put in the. I understand putting in the chant part the first time you do it, but you should only do that like 3 of those. They do like 9 of them.
It's brutal.
It's bad.
I
think they're probably going to. Mikey Ruckus is better than that, so I think he's probably going to cut that. But I do like the body of the match. I like the
song,
Gunther song, even though it's not really Gunther song. It's a 1,000-year-old song, or whatever. But the remix, and it's her.
I don't care.
Doing the lyrics, it's pretty good bars, actually.
I don't like. To be fair, I haven't listened to 1 second of the actual song because I'm so turned off by that CEO nonsense.
Yeah, they need to cut that back.
It's pandering and
do it one time to give the idea to the fans, but then you get rid of that part of the song.
Also, too, and this
if you're going to pump in a crowd noise, by the way, do it for their match with Will Ospreay, so I can enjoy that more.
Yeah. Also, don't pump in crowd noise, and I can suspend disbelief to a point, but I'm not going to think 18,000 people are coming from, or voices of 18,000 are coming from.
And I don't want the WWE button that they just lean on regardless of whether there's 5,000 or 20,000 for the last 20 years.
I also don't get, I don't know what CEO means, much like I didn't know when she's like, I'm the boss. And then she's like, I'm the CEO. I go, what the fuck does that mean?
I mean, I get it.
I don't.
Hip hop thing. That's all. It's like.
Oh.
That's all. That's her aesthetic.
It's stupid. Her song is stupid. She needs to wrestle.
I love her song. I love her gear. Yeah. I just don't love that they're putting her out there to talk when she should be wrestling.
She's in bikinis. Like, how do you not love her gear? One pieces. She's in very.
They're awesome looking though.
I'm not saying they're not, but like. She's very scantily.
You're insinuating that I like it because she's
I said
good. I just think they're dope.
I'm saying it's hard to not like the outfit when it's basically something you could wear to the beach. And she's very. it's all good stuff.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, she just needs to participate more. What she's dangerously tiptoeing into is when Chris Jericho came to the WWF and he didn't wrestle forever.
Yeah,
and
after the greatest
entrance to a company ever.
debut, yeah.
And people stopped giving a shit about him. And then
And the other thing I would compare it to is something that AEW has done is the Saraya effect. If you come in and you just tell everybody that you're the best in the world, but you're not wrestling,
right,
in a company that's full of fucking kick-ass women wrestlers, it starts to rub people the wrong way. If you don't, you need to get out there and do it.
Yes.
And I like,
dude, Punk did it.
I know she can do it.
Punk did it. Night one, Darby Allin.
And you don't even have to with Punk, because he is able to just talk his way through a... absolutely.
And that's how you, like, this is exactly what we're saying. Night one, call somebody out and like, or debut her closer to the pay-per-view so we don't have to find shit to do with her for a month.
Exactly. But like, if she's healthy, there's no reason they couldn't have put her in a match on the first night. Again, they just signed Will Ospreay, big giant star, and they put him in 2 like brutal matches within 3 days of each other.
But come to think of it, that's why they're not doing it.
Probably.
Ospreay got announced. Oh no, that's not true. Because Ospreay announced he's like
it didn't. They didn't wait with Okada either. Like you had him out there in a week, and then they just had him win a title a week later. Like,
well, so they're valuing her above Ospreay and Okada.
It doesn't feel like that's to me.
Well, yeah, like
it feels like they understand what Okada and Ospreay bring to the table, and they don't really understand
also
what Mercedes brings to the table.
Get going. Just get going. Like it's not. They're trying to be like, oh, we're gonna debut her at a pay-per-view. Like don't have her at the pay-per-view. Have something established when you go into the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Start the work now and pay it off.
Just put her in a goddamn match.
Yeah.
You can't talk about how you're the best in the company.
Do you
in a company full of wrestlers?
No.
And not wrestle.
No. What do you think of her finisher?
What is it called? I think when it.
She called it. Yeah, it is called.
When she's got. I mean, I've seen her do it a bunch of times because I watched her Japanese stuff. I like it. The only problem with it is it's much like One-Winged Angel or like Stormbreaker. There's a lot of setup involved, and you need to have a good dance partner to do that, or else it can. It's prone to botch.
It's a tough
type of stuff. I like the way it looks when
she did it
goes off without a hitch, but it's one of those moves that it's just again like Stormbreaker or whatever. It's difficult to do with everybody.
Yeah.
So my hope is that, like with most AEW wrestlers, she incorporates a number of different things that could finish a match.
It's like yep. I'll just leave it at that because I agree with everything you said. So I can't add to because we have a lot of show to cover still. Mercedes gets out of a Jeep. Darby Allin is partnered with Tony Hawk to promote Tony's skateboard project.
Did you know he was doing it for doing the Everest climb for charity? I had no idea until this thing aired.
But no. So Darby Allin is standing next to Tony Hawk and saying since he can't climb Mount Everest, he's going to help promote Tony Hawk's skateboard project.
For a second, I thought he was going to try to do a skateboard jump with a broken foot. And I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, Darby, just relax.
I hate that he wrestled Jay White and did that. Like after the Sting match, you should not have been on TV anymore. Period. It's not even
that match ruled, and he thought he was going to climb a mountain, maybe die.
The match was cool, but
and it helped Jay White a shitload. Remember, he was like no heat, and then they crushed it, and that angle now it like worked out with the actual broken foot.
Yeah.
It's going to be like fucking Bruno, like Stan Hansen saying he broke Bruno Sammartino's neck with the lariat, baby, even though he didn't. Like
it's, but he was all banged up and like it just stay off TV after you have the biggest match of your life.
I agree, take a break just because I was concerned for him, and I think he could be.
And you're going to climb a mountain,
top guy maybe.
If he came back, if he did not wrestle since the Sting match and came back after he climbed Mount Everest and he comes back at like All In or something, holy shit, would that have been a pop?
Yeah.
Like, and he's just like, no.
Well, time away, like we talked about this a bunch.
Yeah,
time away is an important and very good thing in wrestling,
especially coming off of what he did.
Like, I'm loving that MJF is going to be off of TV for probably until like All In.
Did you hear all the conspiracy theories around that bullshit?
No.
That he's going to debut the night after Mania and his 30-day no compete clause is up, like right around then. It's just like, what?
I will cut off and eat my own dick if that happens. Wrestling fans you'd be something.
It's not even wrestling fans. It's like the dirt sheets and stuff. It's like this isn't.
You know who's getting worked an awful lot lately? Dave Meltzer.
Yeah, I'm seeing it on a lot of shit I follow. I'm like, you guys can't possibly believe
No.
this.
He
However,
signed like a
if it
5-year extension.
if it happens,
I would go nuts for him.
and
There.
then we get Punk and MJF and WWF.
I mean,
or
like,
WWE.
AEW is my favorite promotion.
Yeah.
But MJF is the most conducive to WWE. The only problem is the height thing would probably become a thing on TV there.
Yeah. Really quick, because I want to keep talking about this, but gotta get through the show. Renee is backstage with Jericho and Hook.
So did Jericho have to really wait a week to ask Hook if Hook wants to take his advice?
Yes.
that's what the proposition was. So like, yeah, we don't have to get into it a ton because that's really all he did. He was like, Hook, I liked Hook's delivery is getting pretty good. Talking wise, everything is believable. He says to Hook, like, I wanted to see you in action, and like he beat Jericho in a pretty decent match. Made Hook look great. I actually, like, if you leave it at that, Chris, just leave it at that. I'll give you credit for putting over the young guy.
Yeah.
Because Hook looked great there. And then Jericho said, I'm going to have a proposition for you next week, which was now this week. And his proposition was, so Hook, I saw you in action, and I've never been a manager or a coach. I had a wrestling school before, but seeing you do what you do, if you would like any advice from me, that's my proposition. Mm-hmm. And Hook was like, all right. Yeah, like, I mean, yeah, I'll take your advice. You're Chris Jericho. But also, you're Chris Jericho,
yeah.
like, which was great. That was great.
Yeah.
But that was it. So Jericho's like, okay, and does the fist bump. Chris Jericho's fist bump he does a little, like, it's like a little baby doing a like I don't know if he's too old for fist bumps, but every time he puts it out there, it's like he's got his wrist curved way too much for a fist bump, and then the contrast with him and Hook, whose whole thing is like, I'm young and cool and you don't understand me because I'm too young and you're too old. To everybody, basically. It really stands out that Jericho's like, fist bump me, dog.
If that's the angle they're doing, I would love it. If it's like a
manager angle?
No,
Ooh,
like
I'd love that.
Like yes, but also like what's the movie? When in Footloose, when like Kevin Bacon teaches Chris Penn like how to dance, like I would love if they have that dichotomy. Where, like he teaches him how to be like Hook teaches Jericho how to be like a young cool guy.
Yeah,
I would love that.
That would be wonderful.
Oh yeah,
and Chris Jericho could show Hook how to throw a good working punch because he still needs to, and Jericho's got a great one.
Whatever Jericho returns, like I would love that, but like that hasn't happened in wrestling before.
Yeah, no, it hasn't.
No, that'd be very funny, and that would show humility. That would make me like Chris Jericho a lot. Oh, that'd be fun.
I do like. Honestly, up until right now, I mean, it was silly that he said, I have a proposition for you, and his proposition was, will you take my advice? But, like, I've liked, actually, like, if I'm being honest about it, I've liked everything he's done with Hook so far.
Yeah.
The problem is that I know, historically, with Chris Jericho,
we got a little bit of...
It doesn't end then. It keeps going for 6 more months, and then by the end of it, I don't care about the other person that he's working with, and I hate his guts. Yeah. So, like...
Yeah, we're conditioned to be like, all right, this is going to go south at some point.
Yeah.
Jericho said something funny right in the beginning where he said it was Hook's first pinfall victory in AEW over him. Hook has had 13 pinfall victories.
Has he? Because Taz said it too. During the show.
I went on online wrestling database or whatever, and I looked up every match he had, and it's all pins. The last pin...
I mean, like, they don't really do house shows.
The last pinfall match he had was Revolution. Jericho was in it.
Who did he pin?
Whoever he beat to win the Battle Royal. Let's see.
Like, if it's just Jericho saying it, I would 100% be like, hey, he's pulling that out of his ass. But his dad said it during the match.
Let's see. Hook. AEW.
And I'm just at the top of my head, I can only remember him, subbing people.
So, yeah, 13. So he defeated Chris Jericho. He defeated Wardlow.
He pinned Wardlow?
Wait a minute. Oh, wait, I might be wrong here. Hook. Hook's undefeated, right?
No.
Hook's not undefeated.
He was undefeated for quite a while, but
So Hook.
His record is very good, but it's not undefeated.
Oh, I might have been looking at the wrong stat here then. Defeated Hook and Dan. Oh, this is a tag match. Hook and.
Yeah, I mean, just Taz said it. He wouldn't.
Oh, these are all
have that shit
tag
wrong.
matches. Okay. His first singles one.
It's the tag matches. I don't think he actually executed the pin either. I think that was what Taz was saying. At least was it's the first time he's pinned somebody.
That makes sense
in AEW.
Leave this in. It's showing the importance of reading your research, so you don't look like I do right now.
No, what you look like is a person that's willing to go back and double check what they looked. And
Hook's not going to talk to me anymore, though.
Hook thinks he's too cool for both of us.
He's never going to talk to me again.
For sure.
We were best friends. I offered to give him my...
If I started to talk to Hook, he would be like, who's this old fucking dork wrestling fan?
But then you can have your Let's Hear It for the Boy montage, and he can teach you how to be cool.
Like, I like your Batman thing that you do. It's so cool.
What kind of chips are those?
Same reason I refuse to buy a sports jersey of anybody that's younger than me.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah.
That's what I would be like with Hook. I'd be like, oh, you're so awesome, dude. And
you want to get Hook shirts?
Like, I don't want that to...
Let's get Hook shirts.
And then wear them to a show where like Hook is... And then get front row seats.
Yeah.
We love you, Hook.
And then we have to fist bump him like
will you take my advice next
Give
week?
me a strong hand. No, your other hand. This is my strong hand. God damn. Not enough caffeine in this brain right now to quote correctly. Next, Mercedes Moné comes out. Whatever. She's going to commentary.
We talked about that quite a
bit. She's going to do commentary because Willow Nightingale is fighting. It's four-way. Willow Nightingale versus Anna Jay versus Chris Statlander versus Sky Blue.
You know what the biggest problem with Mercedes doing commentary for this is, too?
She can't fucking talk.
The match fucking was a banger.
Yeah.
And all anybody wanted to talk about afterwards was, why was she on commentary? She sucks at that.
Yeah.
If she didn't do that, everybody would be like, oh, that match was a fucking banger.
Right.
Like, so you're pulling away from the awesome thing that happened.
Yep.
Anna Jay had her best match in like a year.
Yeah.
Willow looks like a goddamn star. And the chick with the power bomb that she hit to finish the match was like the crispiest, stiffest power bomb I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And on Anna Jay. Yeah.
The Dr. Bomb.
Yeah.
And that's
Cass always calls it the Dr. Bomb. But I think her official name in Excalibur always says the chick with the power bomb.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, you said everything that I was gonna say.
But I think I had another. Oh yeah. When they were, I love Stokely Hathaway so fucking much. So when because it's a four-way singles match. Mm-hmm. When Willow comes out first and Stokely comes out with her. And then Willow's getting back in the ring. Statlander's also in the match. So Stokely is like, all right, I'm sorry, I'll be right back. And then he books it back up the ramp to come back down with Statlander too. And the way Willow reacted and stuff. It was just all very amusing and fun.
He's funny, man.
He's great.
He's a great character.
I like them together too. I hope they keep them together. I don't care if it's face or heel or whatever. I just like Stokely and Willow and Statlander.
Yeah.
How about that for Mercedes Moné? Put her in there with goddamn Chris Statlander, who I've talked about ad nauseum, can't have a bad match with anyone.
Yeah.
On the first night. Just do that. Just do it right away.
On the first night. It's a showcase match.
Put her out there with your steadiest, probably best worker.
Which is weird they didn't do that because AEW is good at the showcase matches.
Yeah,
they did it with
her.
Literally her. They did it with Ospreay and Orange Cassidy.
Yeah.
Back at Forbidden Door. Mm-hmm. Punk and Darby, which we talked about.
And Darby, much like Chris Statlander, was like the safest dude. He can't have a bad match with anybody.
Yeah,
so you put him in there with the dude who hasn't wrestled in 7 years.
Orange Cassidy. Like we need a guy that's going to fucking go with this New Japan dude. Right? So they have the tools.
Yeah. This match did kick ass though.
I don't know if Okada had the same luxury with Dog.
That was it was my favorite Eddie Kingston match maybe of all time.
Yeah.
So
he's for as much as I want to continue. Throwing shade at him. He's kind of.
I'm coming back around on Eddie again. He's good.
Story shows
he is good. Well, he has improved his. My big complaint was that his offense was starting to look a little soft.
Yeah.
And it's Okada, so you're gonna have a good match with him. But I loved that dynamic, and also the other thing about Eddie Kingston is, I think part of the reason that both you and I are coming back around on him. His character works a billion times better if he's an underdog loser that's fighting to try to be on top but can't quite get there.
Yeah.
So when you put him in there with bully, captain of the football team, Okada.
Yeah.
And he's smiling at the camera. By the way, Okada, like in that match, single-handedly showed that the Performance Center is the most useless thing in history because he immediately, his first match on North American TV, found not only the hard cam, but every camera around that during the match, it was like smiling while he's doing his shit. Yeah. Like that dude just has it. It was great. But like, that's where Eddie's better. Like going up against the douchebag who's kind of above him, and sees themselves as above him, and he's carrying around 3 championship belts, which I also think he's going to lose the Ring of Honor one to Mark Briscoe pretty soon.
Hope so.
I haven't watched any of the Ring of Honor shit because it's Ring of Honor, but I keep hearing that that's the program they're going to do. So good. I like Mark Briscoe. Yeah. Like, I would like him to move up the card some.
Yeah.
And Eddie's just better fighting up instead of
you're
fighting
not wrong.
down, right? Like,
and I say I hope he loses because I want all the Ring of Honor titles off of AEW
I want them
television.
gone. I don't care about Ring. I just do not care about Ring of Honor.
No, but let's start the process.
Yeah.
Let's get them off of television if they have to go to guys that are exclusively on Ring of Honor.
Hope is the first step in that process is going to be the unification of the trios, because that's going to happen at the pay-per-view, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So then just eliminate the one, like make it one belt.
They were really abrupt with that too. So what we're talking about is the Bang Bang Scissor Gang has imploded, and they're clearly going to.
That was actually a very cool turn the way they did that too. It was after the Jay White's Darby Allin match was supposed to be right before Darby was leaving to go climb Everest in real life. Jay White's, who's been kind of doing babyface, but not really because he's been mugging at the camera the whole time, as I've said. He was going to Pillmanize Darby's foot.
Right.
And the Acclaim came out and they're like, he's going to climb Everest. You can't fucking do that. This dude's like, he's about to go climb Mount Everest. He's going to die if you break his foot. Just turned out that he also actually broke his foot in this match, so it fits into the story. But that was kind of a ploy to get Billy Gunn to come in the ring, so that they can basically hit him with a chair and his sons could tell him he sucks ass and complete the heel turn that very obviously was coming since they started this
he loves to
week 2.
Loves to love him, loves to kick him, loves to stick. He doesn't love to suck him.
Go check out our Turnbuckle Time Machine episode from this week to hear me perform most of I'm an Ass Man.
Did a good job. I loved it. Yeah. I wish if we put a metronome underneath that, man, you can print money. But yeah, the wrestling gods have heard our cry to do something with all the guys in that faction, which have basically been sitting idly, expecting us to just care about that potential breakup via osmosis.
That one angle on one show, though, it fired them all into particularly the Bullet Club side of it, but that was okay, Jay White already is the most evil motherfucker again ever, and the Ass Boys are the best kind of douchey prick sidekicks again, which is what they should all of 100%. Them should be doing.
Yes.
Now just get rid of Billy Gunn and let the Acclaim go into the tag division. Be a happy man.
Just get rid of the trios titles completely and let the tag division be really strong.
I'm okay with that too.
I would much prefer that. Backstage, Renee was interviewing Dustin Rhodes,
who's 3-1 in 2024 somehow. Yeah. I watch every show, and I can think of one match, I think, from this year.
They're probably all Rampage matches.
It's got to be all Rampage.
Yeah.
Because the only one I can think of is the when he tagged with the Iron Claw kids.
That doesn't count as a... Oh, wait. Yeah, they're not highlighting, because what did it... They highlighted somewhere on the show, so-and-so is... I don't know, 10-0. Let's just say for the sake of argument.
Anna Jay was she's got 78 wins in AEW. I'm holy shit.
This year? Jesus. They're not really differentiating singles wins, trios wins, tags wins.
You gotta listen to how they say it. They definitely do I'm 3-1 this year.
The graphic on the...
Oh, they didn't put...
No.
Because on the website, the rankings and shit, they do differentiate.
Yes.
So they should be doing the on TV.
They're usually really good about it on TV. But if I think of who it was...
My guess is the Dustin thing. They're obfuscating that intentionally because the truth is he's probably won 3 multi-mans, right?
Yeah, you're not wrong. Dustin says he's as passionate as ever, and then the Butcher walks in.
I'm always an appearance from the Butcher is always a welcome thing from me, but this one particularly because he comes out and Dustin immediately is like, "Oh Jesus, your breath stinks," kind of thing, and the Butcher's like, "It's my mustache. It's got its own musk." I love him so much. They're gonna have a rampage.
They're gonna have a rampage.
It'll be great.
It's gonna be a bunkhouse match.
He referenced they had an awesome bunkhouse match like 3 years ago.
They referenced it, and the only reason they would reference it again, I have to. Why would you bring it up again? Hey, we had a bunkhouse match. Now we're gonna have a regular match.
Yeah,
why would you slide downhill?
It's on Rampage. So I probably won't see it, but that might be one that if I hear some good buzz on it, I will go back and watch Rampage. That's usually what I do with Rampage these days, just because we have so much freaking wrestling to watch.
Yeah.
If I hear, like I saw when Kyle O'Reilly was on, I think.
Yep.
I went back and watched that. Or maybe that was Collision. So I did watch that whole episode. But
you watch Collision
a couple
week?
of times.
I try.
Most weeks I will. I don't watch it the way that I watch Dynamite because I know I'm not going to talk about it the way that we talk about Dynamite. But I'll usually at least do like the past, like what I do with WWE stuff if I'm not talking about it, basically, where I'll do a pass through, see if interesting stuff happens, and then if I see something interesting as I'm kind of fast forwarding, I'll go back and watch that in real time.
Yeah. I would love to watch it, but
it's just too much wrestling.
Also, too, and then you add in The Rock doing half-hour Twitter promos.
Exactly.
Like, I'm like,
which now I miss. Fucking like, we'll talk about it on the WWE, but like, that's become such a staple. Now I'm like, where's my Instagram promo, Rock? Like, what the hell?
You're reading my mind. I'm thinking the same. It's like, and then I feel like not tech savvy. If I don't see it, I'm like, wait, where is it? Why did my phone get it?
Did this miss my feed somehow?
Yeah. The next was a video promo. Tony Storm is with Ben Makowitz.
Yeah, it's the Turner Classic Movies guy.
Yeah, he's the host.
I wonder if did they film this back when because he did, it was great, and he came out and did the intro for Tony Storm, I think it's 2 pay-per-views ago or something. I wonder if they like shot it then.
It could have.
Because it was kind of out of nowhere.
It also accomplished nothing.
It was weird.
I don't know.
It's fine.
I rewound it a couple times just to see like, hey, contextually, is this accomplishing? And
I think it was just to keep Tony Storm and that character on TV in people's minds.
That's it. It didn't advance.
That's why I thought maybe it was taped.
It was very odd. Bumped up right against that is the Swerve video package. So it was it was the second one. We got the Takeshita one earlier. Swerve's video package promoting the #1 contenders match tonight with Takeshita. So again, at this point, I'm like, I don't know if I want Swerve to win because I'm really loving Takeshita.
Like I said, I want Swerve to win, we'll talk about it in the meat of the match. But I've been a little bit worried about Swerve because 2 things have happened kind of concurrently in the last 3-4 weeks. Swerve is not an awesome promo. No. He's a good promo. He's awesome at everything else.
Yes.
But he's just not an awesome promo. And he's been doing a lot of promo stuff, so it's kind of like focused on that. So to me, I mean, in the house, he's not lost any heat. But for me, he's lost a little bit of heat because the stuff that he does best, he wasn't doing. And then concurrently along with that, they just happened to bring in the biggest fucking supernova star, like natural top guy I've ever seen in my entire life, who's every show is just killing it. Is 100 out of 100. Incredible no matter what he does.
Yeah.
So it was like, man, is Swerve moving down? That's my favorite thing that happened on this show is it was like an iron sharpens iron thing. It's what I was hoping he would do.
Yeah.
So I think Swerve stepped up, and this was the first time that I think he outperformed Will Ospreay a little bit. Like, I mean, they both were fantastic.
Yeah.
But Swerve.
Oh, on the show.
Yeah. Like, he needed to have an episode where he felt like the bigger star, and he did.
Yeah.
The crowd was going fucking bananas for Swerve.
This was Ospreay's weakest of 3.
Yes.
But like the first
4.75 star.
Yeah, the first 2 were like unbelievably perfect.
But Swerve needed to have one of these performances where like he feels like a star again.
Yeah.
Which is the first time in a few weeks that he's felt like the star.
I was really nervous to say this, but you said it. I'm like, I think Swerve's cooling off a little bit.
No, I felt it.
I was nervous to tell you.
I don't think he was cooling off in the rooms. he was still getting the pop, and like
No, but like you said,
reactions here. But
in
for
your
me,
head.
I'm like,
Yeah.
you're not he like when he was absolutely hitting on all cylinders. That's, I mean, if you remember, I said a few weeks ago, I think they should have pulled the trigger on the Swerve title. I would have done it like way earlier.
Yeah.
Because I would have done it at the peak and then had him lose it and then let him chase, because I always want to, babyface chasing the heel. But I am even more fired up now because, like, Rock and Austin always did the thing where they always talked about we were only as good as we were because we were competing with each other at all times.
Yep.
And the iron sharpens iron, right?
You're not wrong.
And like, I give Wardlow shit for you need to rise to the occasion. You need to grab the brass ring when you have the opportunity to.
Yeah.
Well, if Swerve's going to be like a top guy or their top baby face right now, you need to do that. You need to, like, in the face of Will Ospreay, this like shining supernova, you need to also then step up and like outperform him once in a while. It's got to be back and forth, and he hadn't been doing it. And here I thought he did, and the crowd responded as such too. Like, I was very happy to see it, because now I'm much more excited for a Swerve potential title victory than I would have been if this episode of Dynamite wouldn't have happened. Which is like the biggest. I think it's the biggest progression story wise that happened on this entire show, even though it wasn't really necessarily a story thing. It was just, we need this guy to step up and show that he can be the top guy.
Yeah.
No matter what anybody else is doing. He did here, thankfully.
Yeah.
Which, probably it's a good thing that he was forced into a tougher spot too, because it's going to make him better.
Well, also too, you're noticing that, hey, you got Will Ospreay down the hallway. I think he fucking notices too.
Yeah.
And
I'm sure he also keeps hearing more than one time I've heard people suggest and then get upvoted a ton and stuff that they're going to have to do Ospreay Swerve as the headline for All In.
Yeah.
Which that'll be goddamn incredible. But you need to maintain that heat then the entire that's a long time. That's like August or whatever. It's hard to like maintain. Ospreay can, because that dude is a freak.
Yeah.
But Swerve needed to show that he can maintain, if he does really want that match, which I would just rather see Ospreay against the heel. But that match will be unbelievable.
Yeah.
And there's like the desire for it, but you got to prove that you're worthy of headlining the biggest show of their year.
Yeah.
Or at least as far as attendance and stuff goes.
Yeah. You're not wrong. Also, he's stepping wearing gold boots, which I loved.
Yeah.
I hated that pay-per-view outfit that he had.
I like every one of Swerve's outfits.
Hated it.
It
just didn't.
He's got so much drift.
Didn't match. I don't know.
It's that he does the clashing stuff kind of intentionally.
Oh, good.
It's
it
like
works.
Who's the rapper? It's Danny something. He does a real unorthodox.
Are you looking at me to know what this is?
No. I'm looking in my own brain. I just happen to be looking at. It's gonna kill me. But his aesthetic is similar to what like Swerve goes for a lot of the time. So yeah, the clashing stuff is kind of intentional, and I love it. Mercedes, he's kind of the dude Mercedes. He's like not awesome, just talking, but everything else, freaking love it. I love it.
You were so happy there. You started giggling and like
wiggling
a little bit.
I started to do the
little wiggle.
Was it the gritty? That's the celebration dance Swerve does.
Yes. Oh, video listeners are getting a treat right now. Sully's just grittying across the room. So that was the video package. And there was another tag title quarterfinal match, which was the Best Friends. Representing the Best Friends this time is Orange Cassidy and Trent Barretta.
Their shirts were fun.
Yeah, they're best friends. They have a good time. And they were fighting.
I still think Trent is starting on them as soon as they lose next week. But
that'd be fine.
Yeah.
Give them all something to do. And they are fighting Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, current Ring of Honor tag team champions. Right away, I noticed that Trent and Taven are dressed like a tag team. They were the most cohesive unit. Like their gear was identical.
You know what? I would like that tag team.
Yeah.
And also, you've cooled the Kingdom off so much by having Swerve beat them in a handicap match.
They are just meaningless at
they
this
fucking
point.
And they wasted Taven like that incredible performance.
Yeah.
to like put them out there with now, like I mean, I already didn't give a shit about the Ring of Honor tag titles, but like now I really don't, because you've
Not even
told
a
me
little
that
bit.
they're not really a very good tag team as far as in kayfabe. Like I think they're both excellent performers, Taven particularly in real life.
Yeah.
But in kayfabe, I'm like, they keep losing, like
Yes.
all over the place. And I agree with the decision to put Best Friends over here because of who they're going to face next week now, and they're your babyface guys. But the Kingdom just continues to move down, drop.
Like they lose everything. The only one that won anything is Roderick Strong.
He's the only guy that feels strong. No pun intended.
And he hasn't. Has he wrestled since he won?
I don't think so.
I don't know, but like he needs to start fucking winning.
He's like participated, but I don't think he's had a match since. I don't feel cooled off on him, but Kingdom, Kingdom, I'm like, you guys are mid card fodder.
Do you think they're doing like a purposeful thing where everyone's losing in that faction? They're gonna bring in an angle, but they're gonna bring in like another big bad, like to like lead.
I don't know. Like, I don't know what the end game would be, but I had a similar thought. Just that, like, I hope that they're doing all of it intentionally.
Yeah.
And like, they've been doing so well with everything outside of the Undisputed Kingdom that it feels like it almost has to be intentional. Like, I don't think that they would just not care about only one thing. The Undisputed Kingdom is like it feels like the booking does not care about them at all.
No.
But cares very much about everything else on the show.
Did you see have you been paying attention to what they're doing with Adam Cole lately?
I like the video thing, the storybook thing, which it also helps. Then you don't have to see his big boots. Like the cast thing, you can put that off camera and let him talk, which is like he's one of the best on earth at that. And
he's just like talking shit about Wardlow.
Yeah.
Which, get him out of that group. Get Wardlow out of that group. Just... He's not doing that here, dude.
I agree.
He got squashed in that. Like, okay, it was a competitive match, but how it ended,
it was a competitive match that I didn't feel a lot for.
No,
but and remember what I said going into that. Okay, Wardlow, if you're gonna I don't care if you win or lose, you need to take this match and make it a match that, like, the next day, people and myself being people are going, did you see that fucking Wardlow match last night? And it wasn't that.
No, like he tapped out immediately. There was no shenanigans at all.
The way he tapped, I was like, okay, they're doing something, I think, because he was like, I'm a pussy. I'm tapping.
It was quick. I hope they're doing something. Yeah. And this is where a slow burn, like, make the slow burn coincide with Adam Cole's injury. And take your fucking time. If you're going to do that and there's some payoff that doesn't happen until Adam Cole comes back, like, take forever to do it. That's fine. It doesn't impact anything else on the show. But I just hope that's what they're doing.
Me too. And the truth is, if Adam Cole is, like, healthy, as soon as he shows up, I'm like, I'm back in. He's Adam Cole. Yeah. Like, he's awesome.
Well, that's what's going to happen.
Once he can do shit, I'm like, okay, you can be his lackeys, and I still feel like you're stronger just because you have a healthy Adam Cole standing there.
Tell the story now. Like, cause all the tension and, like, weave all, like, cross them all up now. So when he comes back, we already...
I mean, maybe that's what
we, the viewers, have any idea what's going on. Roderick Strong wrestled on Rampage 2 days ago.
Oh, okay.
So, but not
is Rampage 9 hours long? Because everything that whenever we're like, when did that happen? Oh, it was on Rampage. I thought it was an hour-long program.
1 hour. That was his first singles match. He did have.
Oh, that's not bad then. It's been 3-4 weeks since
the
pay-per-view?
He also had a tag match our trios match on March 13th. It was on Rampage.
Jesus Christ.
Man, that's funny shit.
I wouldn't hate if they did break up the Undisputed Kingdom. One, because Roderick Strong used to have an awesome entrance tune, and now he's got that shitty. It's the word Undisputed Kingdom is like one of my least favorite songs in AEW. It just sounds like one of those like mid-card WWE ones that they just shit out. And he used to have like a badass actual kind of metal song.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't hate it if they just disbanded that and did something with Kyle O'Reilly and Roddy and Adam Cole. Just those
They're
guys.
going that way.
It's just those guys, though.
Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly are like...
I love that Kyle O'Reilly.
They're winking at each other.
His whole gimmick is like, I'm a sloppy-ass Beverly guy. Did you see the... I think it was the Butcher that called him out on... he did... his like backstage promo segment. He was wearing like a backwards hat.
Yep. Oh, that's
And
coming
then
up.
on Twitter, the Butcher was like, or Cesaro. He's like, I just want everyone to know that the reason that Kyle O'Reilly had a backwards hat on is because the front of the hat had Snoopy on it. And the producer was like, you can't have Snoopy. You look like a child. You can't have Snoopy on your hat. So he turned it around. But just everyone know it was Snoopy on his hat. That's why it was backwards.
It's the most entertaining thing Claudio has done his entire tenure on that company.
Well, if you read Mox by John Moxley,
I'm not gonna
excellent.
read
It's worth, even if you're not a fan of his. He's a very good writer.
Oh, I'm coming around. Maybe I got some Audible credits.
It helps that he
Go
does
on.
the read for it too, which is excellent too.
Oh, that's
but and it's actually written by him by hand in like notebooks. It's not like one of those ghostwriter books.
Sure.
So it reads like the dude himself. It's probably one of the reasons I'm a fan of his, because of the book.
Right.
But Claudio sounds like a very fun person to be around in a goofy way in real life. Mm-hmm. Doesn't translate to television because he's not. I mean, also that character wouldn't make sense to be the way he is.
No,
but he does seem like a pretty fun dude.
Yeah, I don't have fun when he's on TV. So, Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta against Matt Taven and Mike Bennett. It was fine. They did it. So it
was a good match, but like looking at it, they had to all be like, the best we're going to do on this episode of Dynamite is probably the fourth best match of the show.
Yeah,
that kind of
phone it in.
Showed.
They did a cool spot, and this is again where I don't love when there's not established finishers, because Best Friends hit a strong 0/beach break, which is both of those respective people's finishers, and it did not win the match.
I love that move too.
It looked awesome, and it's won matches. Both of those moves have won so many matches and titles and title defenses.
And both of those moves are actually not necessarily finishers, because Cassidy hits that all the time and doesn't win. Yeah. But as a tag team move, I actually like it enough that I'm like,
that should have won
I would
the
break
match.
my own finisher AEW rule, because that's a badass looking move.
Yeah. It should have won.
I would have ended that match there.
They were winning.
They were dominating it, and then they hit that, which looked like a capper. I don't think it should have ended it because it's a finisher.
Right.
They should have ended it because they were beating the shit out of him already, and it looked like an awesome move. And that's where the flow of the match would have best ended for me.
Also, too, when you have two singles or like two different people who have established finishers, and you combine them to make a super finisher
that I like better than either of their singles moves.
And it almost always is like, it's like the super kick pedigree combo. It's like, both of those win, but like this is definitely like that almost retired.
I would have ended that match
right there.
Yeah.
The finish was that the Undisputed Kingdom tried a stuck pile driver. Whoever was on the middle rope got thrown out. Cassidy rolled up Bennett. So next week it's the Best Friends versus the Bucks.
Yeah. So you like flow wise, it would have been best to end that match there, and then the match finished with a roll up.
Yeah.
Like, that's the worst thing to finish when you could have finished.
Especially going into a match with the Bucks, like, show that, like, hey, this is on the table now.
I mean, people have the Best Friends. They just do, and they're gone. Like, it doesn't.
You got to
really
give the people
matter.
what they want.
They do, and they do. I'm very much looking forward to Trent as a heel, though. I think it's going to be a better spot for him.
We haven't seen it yet, and it's been years since he's been like straight up face with the Best Friends.
Yeah, no, I would say since it's been, I don't know, 3-4 weeks, maybe 4 or 5 weeks since he's been noticeably to me teasing the heel thing that's coming. And I think it's working for them. Like, he's got that little bit of douchebag in him.
Oh, he's got a lot of that douchebag in him.
He's also, they're very popular, and like they move merch and stuff.
It's going to break people's hearts.
Which is great.
Yes.
That's what we want.
Yes, that's what we want.
Like, you don't want a heel turn because they had to, because people stopped liking him. You don't want a Jericho heel turn. You want, like, the corporate Rock. You know, like
a proper heel
what the
turn.
Fuck? Why Rock? You know, that kind of stuff. And which Trent will get from people.
I hope so.
A lot of AEW, like, hardcores, more than me, love the Best Friends.
Yeah.
They're a little indie, a little extra indie for my tastes. Yeah. But they're very, very beloved. Also, so it'll be a great heel turn.
Especially since Chuck Taylor's out not really doing nothing. Yeah. Give him something to fucking do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Also, like, throw him in a feud with Orange Cassidy. He's not doing shit right now. There's a story there. After this match, the Young Bucks came out.
They elevated out. Did you notice that Matthew Jackson had different facial hair than from his match earlier in the show?
No.
He had a full beard in the match, and then he had just a mustache. They came back out. Because they put their other suits with the yellow awesome suit back on, and he just had completely different facial hair.
I need to rewatch that. Like, that's really funny.
It was my big all caps. I'm like, is he got different fucking facial hair than from 25 minutes ago? Holy shit.
Like you and I think 18 other people noticed, but like rewards go to you.
And it was second viewing too. Yeah. I did not notice it at all the first time.
Okay, maybe that's why. So they come up on the elevator. They have a stare down, and then they go back to the elevator, and they just
back down the elevator.
It's really slowly,
which I like stood up and cheered for in my living room.
It was very funny.
This is wonderful.
That match should be dope as fuck next week.
Yeah.
Backstage, Renee is interviewing Kyle O'Reilly. She gives him a congrats on the win over Brian Keith on Collision.
I love Kyle O'Reilly. I have no idea what he's doing.
No, and he doesn't
I'm here for it. I get. He's a sloppy ass Beverly dude at the Irish Parade. That's his whole thing. He can still wrestle. He fucking but as a banger. His one match he's had since coming back. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah,
he's here. He means business.
But he's still counting how many beers he had that day.
Yes, absolutely.
I have tepid notes here. This is where the Undisputed Kingdom came out, right? Or no? Oh, no. He said, any thoughts about the Undisputed Kingdom coming out after when he was celebrating his win, right? And didn't he say something? Because I didn't, for some reason, jot notes down here.
I didn't either.
I think this is where...
I just keep going, why you look like you're from Beverly. With your moth-eaten shirts.
I think they just kept, like, this is where... basically, Roderick Strong said, like, in good faith, like, hey, if you want to do this on your own, do it on your own. And Kyle O'Reilly went on his own, and he's like, am I going to do this on my own? And, like, you were expecting,
That's right. And he has kind of been doing that the whole time. Like, I don't, like, the lack of direction is the story.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really know myself, because it's been a year and almost 2 years or whatever that I've been away, and I don't really know yet what I
also expected Kyle O'Reilly to go into a musical number when he looked off to the distance, like, Can I do this on my own?
He's a cheeseball actor. Even back to NXT days.
Does he want to build a
cool
Kyle? Next was another video package. It shows Adam Copeland and Christian's last man standing match from last week.
Which I liked way better than I expected to.
After
their first one, I was like, I'm going to be done with this.
Yeah.
But then they had the match, and I was like, no, fuck it, I'm all in.
Yeah.
This is the most Canadian thing I've ever seen. It's great.
It's the fact that they put Adam Copeland put a Bruins jersey on Christian, got massive boos.
They did a nice job of pretending that wasn't plants, too.
Yeah.
Like, they did a good job acting like, you fucking taking my hockey jersey.
Yeah.
Edge, by the way, came out in full Toronto Maple Leafs, like,
regalia.
head-to-toe gear, like, in Toronto.
Which he usually does in Toronto.
Yeah. He does, I don't know what he pays for, because everybody does their own gear. Edge, his gear is always on point.
Yeah.
Like, WWE, AEW, doesn't matter, especially for big matches. He does it up, like top to bottom.
Yeah.
I think he gives that shit away for charity.
Well, there you go, then.
Like right after the match,
All right, good. I'm glad he won then.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of glad he won. Like
Me too. As much as I didn't, like, I would always be like, I want Christian to hold the title forever. You can't just do that.
Also,
Christian, something new.
Christian was running out of shit to do. Mm-hmm. He was getting a little cool. Like he's not talking as much as he doesn't.
Yeah. Like, well, he's one of those guys that I don't think you need to keep heated up, because like you give him a microphone one time and it's right back.
He's right back.
100%.
Yes.
But I do agree that it's time to do another thing. Like even if it's add somebody to the group or whatever, just something different than like Edge. And this was that match was a great way to cap it off.
Yes. Yeah. I enjoyed it. They're promoting Collision, so he's going to do a Cope Open,
which I enjoyed his first. Outside of this stupid ass name.
What did you call it one time? You had a better name for it.
The Rated R Seminar.
But better. Which is basically the TNT Championship Open Challenge. So we'll see who he fights. They're doing the East bracket quarterfinals.
They could not have put more qualifiers on the top of the Northeast bracket semi quarterfinal.
It's like basketball.
It's just final 8. Just say last 8.
It's FTR versus the Infantry, and then Top Flight versus Big Bill and Ricky Starks.
The Infantry, who got a very big surprising victory on
Must have been on Rampage.
Collision.
Oh.
House of Black. They beat House of Black.
Oh.
Like out of nowhere.
Okay.
I mean, they've been getting, I guess, like kind of the Rampage push.
Right.
And moved up to Collision and then like won like the main events on Collision against House of Black.
Okay. Well, they're going to lose to FTR.
Yes,
so,
they are.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. As well they should. Because it's FTR.
And then there is The Righteous and Lance Archer versus Shibata, Claudio, and Bryan Danielson, which prompted the top of the episode rant about me not wanting him on my television for meaningless bullshit like a Lance Archer match.
Danielson wants to get his rocks off. He gets to be in a match.
The
match
Righteous
with Shibata.
Then fight Shibata.
Because he probably hasn't been in a match with the Righteous yet. And he's like, I want to work with those guys. I'm Bryan Danielson.
All right,
this is my year of away at Europe.
Great. This is why we need house shows in this company. Because he can no. He can tour the country wrestling whoever the fuck he wants every night of the week, and I don't have to look at it.
But the reason is the only way that I can justify being a fan of the style of wrestling that they do in AEW, that I love oh so much, is because they only have to do it like once every couple of weeks. If they had to work a full like old school WWE or even a current WWE schedule where they're working 5 days in a week, they couldn't wrestle the way that they do, or they would all be very badly injured.
You're right. You're right, and I agree with you. I need this asshole off my TV. I love him, and
I need his gap year to end so they can hopefully I really do hope they give him a title. Like I don't care if it's super short. Yeah. It just is better for everybody if Bryan Danielson's been your world champ for a little bit. Like I do want to see him at the top of the card. I also kind of want to see Shibata get moved up to the top of the card now that
he's fun.
Feels like he's healthy for the first time.
Well, you've also seen him enough.
Yeah.
So where he's like
it's been ramping up too. Like he hasn't
in a North American audience.
Yeah. And he's been getting more and more comfortable, like taking shots to the head and stuff. And I feel like the Ospreay match was like, okay, he's basically Shibata again. He's the guy that like I loved from 2017. Mm-hmm. He can do that shit again. And if that is the case, then like that dude's a main event type of talent to me.
I mean, it showed in the opening match. Like it was a great match, and he's just a totally different style than these Japanese guys.
Danielson wants to work a multi-man with him.
I don't want to talk about this anymore. It all comes from a place of love. Like I
100% understand.
Like I'm not mad at.
He's a weird little dude though, like, and he's probably gonna like when like the shit that we were complaining about, like the Tony Khan bad decision making as far as like what venues to book and the few like story things that he stumbles on. When that shit gets fixed, is probably going to be when Bryan Danielson takes over as the head booker, which he's going to do, I think.
I'm great with that. I'm great with that. One more promo was the Dynasty promo. So the 3 matches we have so far are the finals of the tag team tournament. The TBS title is Julia Hart versus Willow Nightingale. And
Willow's got to win that.
Yeah, I hope so.
I mean, she had a bunch of shots, and she just constantly stays over. She's like fucking Dusty Rhodes for the women's division.
Yeah.
She's just over, always. She also died, I realized, because I was thinking about the, with the Swerve stuff I talked about being in mind where he occasionally stumbles on promo words and how Ospreay never does. I'm like, Willow's never like had a slight misstep on a promo at all. And they never talk a lot.
Yeah.
She's incredible. Like she is just an awesome performer. It's time to put a belt on her.
Like, also too, like you look at the other side of the coin, what if they don't, what is Julia Hart doing?
Yeah.
So this just feels like it's an inevitability. And then you have Ospreay versus Danielson. Look at that. It's just fun to read that. The next match is
the main events of the evening.
Brought to you by Snacky Smokes.
Really felt. It felt like a main event too.
Right.
Takeshi's just got that. He's just so cool.
I miss his brown noise music.
I think that's technically Don Callis' music.
The brown noise?
So I think that still is there. It's
okay.
Takeshi, when he's wrestling on singles, he gets his own, which is like an offshoot of the brown noise, kind of, but more conventional music.
Yeah. All of my notes, I have little like special like key like things that I do for just moves. It's just all special moves.
Yeah.
That's the entire...
I've realized that my Takeshita notes are almost always not anywhere near the like level of specificity of any other wrestler, because his matches are so goddamn entertaining.
Yeah.
That I'm like, I'm just gonna watch this again. Even like second watch through, I'm like, I'm just sucked into this. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So I'll have like, my note will be like for this match was, Takeshita's elbow strike is like a goddamn Attitude Era unprotected chair shot to the head.
Yeah.
And that's what it feels like. Like, it's so impactful that that's what it feels like.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
He's just awesome. And then like I had a couple of spot things because there were some pretty impressive spots here. The swerve stomp, pop-up stomp. I'm like, he got like a 45-inch vertical. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That was awesome. And Swerve did a few things like that, but then the last 5 minutes, they really got the like New Japan build to the last 5 minutes, and then the crowd was just in a frenzy for the entire last 5 minutes of this match, which ruled. So, but
no, it's all. I mean, there was a hanging DDT where Takeshi's like off the rope, and his legs were like not. It looked like natural because he like didn't look set up, and then he just got stuck from the middle rope to a DDT, and it looked amazing.
Takeshita, when he gets spiked like that too, it's not like even like Pac or Kenny Omega or Rob Van Dam back in the day where you like spiked on your head where you bounced out. He like buries his head into the canvas like he's getting his neck broken. I have no idea how he doesn't break his neck. He does it all the time though. Yes. So he's doing something.
He's very good at
never
it.
Gets hurt. So he's doing something tricky, like pro wrestling-ish, dark arts. I love it.
Yeah.
But it looks like he's going to kill himself all the time. Like, it's unbelievable.
It's amazing that he's from the same place as like if mid 2000s Vince McMahon had his hand on Takeshita, he would make him a samurai.
He would absolutely make him like a shifty-eyed, evil foreign guy with a geisha girl.
Jesus Christ! Again, if you have not, we just simultaneously posted along with this our review of the Great American Bash 2004. A lot of Vince. A lot of meat on that Vince bone. There was a spot where I think Swerve was going for like a front roll into, I don't know, like a flatline or something like. And as he was rolling up to go hit a second move, Takeshita timed it perfectly and he hit him with a rising knee.
Yeah.
It just looked animated.
There was like 2 or 3 different times during this match. Like one of my only criticisms ever of Swerve in ring is that some of his stuff takes a little bit longer than I would like to set up, because he does all that unconventional like rolly stuff that all looks great. Occasionally it takes a little longer and the opponent has to kind of stand there. Takeshita like 2 or 3 times, and this was one of those times where he was like standing there, but it was because he saw that it was going to take a minute, and he was like setting him up to fucking hit him with one time was a Death Valley driver, and this time was like a brutal ass knee.
Yeah.
Like, it worked incredibly well.
Yeah. Poison Rana, Blue Thunder Bomb. He did Swerve did a pop-up power bomb into a Swerve.
Yeah.
Oh no, pop-up. He dodged a pop-up power bomb.
Yeah, it looked like it would have been him taking the pop-up power bomb, but what it turned out being just Swerve jumping the height of Takeshita's head and
Swerve stomping him on the way back down. My universal and perpetual criticism of Swerve, it's kind of an offshoot of what you just said. I hate how long it takes to set up the Swerve stomp. Like, the guy has to sit on the ground looking.
Yeah, Takeshita did his best to be I'm dazed. I'm kind of fucked up.
It made sense. Like again, it makes sense because I said if it's preceded by the what's that kick called, the
house
call, then it makes sense because it
depends on, like, it is very reliant on his dance partner, like selling that they're dazed essentially.
Yes.
Because it takes a minute to set it up. It's a badass move.
To my surprise, Takeshita like lost like clean as a goddamn whistle. JML driver.
Yeah. They're calling it. What do they call it? They're not calling it the JML driver. The last few weeks I've noticed.
What?
It's the new name is like it fits his shit. It goes in line with all this other stuff. But like it was called the JML driver. It was like an indie kind of thing there's like a joke online. He won't tell anybody what it stands for. So I understand why they would want to move it more in line with his current character or whatever. But I forget what it is. They called it something else.
Well, we got to learn that name now.
Yeah.
But so Swerve is the #1 contender for the world title, and they are going to fight at Dynasty.
And I hope he wins it, and then I hope Takeshita takes it off him like pretty quick.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope you're right.
I mean, I think your next 3 champs in some order should absolutely be Swerve Strickland, Will Ospreay, and Konosuke Takeshita. Those 3 dudes are just like they're outdoing everybody.
Well, why would
so, like it,
And if they're all like working together, if they're SmackDown sixing each other, like why?
Well,
why not?
like I said earlier, that I mean, this main event to me felt just like okay, where I'm going to step up now too.
Yeah.
Iron sharpens iron. Ospreay opened the show.
But then
I'm going to close it.
Let all these guys fight each other all the time and like different iterations.
Yeah.
Like that's I just mentioned SmackDown 6. Like that's what made all those guys. That's what made all those guys minus Chavo Guerrero. But like 5 of those 6 guys had shining careers after that. It's because they were constantly at their skill level and then like continuing to get better within that same crop of people.
But Dave, in 2024, that's what they've been doing.
Well,
we've seen Ospreay.
Well, no, Takeshita's just like added to the mix now.
Yeah.
Right. So like just keep. Oh no, they fought it. I guess technically, yeah, they fought in Ospreay's debut, but like, more of this.
and we're gonna like the Ospreay Swerve is the one that everybody's fantasy booking.
Yeah.
So like, do you do it now or do you whatever? But like, yeah, have those guys all continue
forever
doing
and ever
these unbelievable goddamn matches.
And then when Hangman comes back,
yeah. But Takeshita, the reason I most want him to have the title is because I don't like babyface champs.
Right.
Like I think it worked for like Hogan because it was the 80s.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I just want I want you chasing.
We had the Cold War back then, so we had a lot more hoorah for America, an American character.
So I think that'll do it for our AEW episode this week. Like I mentioned at the kickoff here, for our WWE portion of the Blue Thunder Pod this week, just go check wherever you get your podcast. It's going to drop at the same time that this does on Friday morning. Thanks for joining us as always, and hopefully you guys will join us again next week, and also for the WWE iteration of the Blue Thunder Pod.
Bye.